Hi guys, Ingrid Marsh here from Soulful Living with Ingrid, and this is the Getting Your Groove Back show. And as you know, I'm on a mission to spread a new vibration, my lovelies, a new vibration of love, a new vibration of light, and a new vibration of happiness into every corner of the world. And for us to, on a daily basis, develop a love affair with life. So helping me to do that, as you know, I bring along some really awesome guests. And today's guest, oh my gosh, I just love her, Seetha Gopal. She's a well-being and a transformational life coach. And I just love her. And the reason I particularly love my lovely Sita is because she keeps it so simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff out there which is so spiritual, jargon, heavy, and it can just leave you blinded, especially someone like myself, because I was the way I was and then found out later on it was called spirituality. So a lot of these terms that are out there can become a bit jargon heavy. She doesn't do any of that. And the other thing I love about my Seetha, which is why I've got her for 3 episodes, by the way, we've got her for 3 sessions, is whenever I leave her, I feel at peace. That's it, that's simple. She gives me peace. I thought there's no other reason why I should bring her on than she brings me peace. And it's my show. So there you go. So this week our topic is called Detox the Mind and Detox the Life. How we really can go about living a more passionate lifestyle. So make sure you stay listening. So hi guys, thank you for listening, thank you for staying with us. Like I said in the introduction, we have the wonderful Seetha Gopal with us. She's a transformation and wellbeing life coach, but rather than me rattling on about what she does, I'm going to get Seetha to tell you herself. Hello my lovely, how are you?
I'm doing great, my darling. It's so beautiful to be here this evening.
Oh, you are so beautiful, Seetha. Thank you so much for joining me. You're spoiling us with all your knowledge over 3 sessions, and I'm so excited about that. But Seetha, I just did a very brief introduction about what you do. Can you give the audience and my audience and your audience a better description as to what you actually do?
Sure, that'll be so nice that you've given me this opportunity. So firstly, let me just, send you all a lot of love with a namaste. It just moves my heart every time to do this, and I can feel all the love that's coming my way as well. So it's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful and love my friend Ingrid for having me here this evening. Can you feel it? Can you all feel it? It's so beautiful. So I'll just now give you an introduction of who I am and what I've been doing for the past few years. So I actually started off, my life has been most like many other lives, we're all basically trying to get our lives right by getting enough money and a career and a house in place, and your children have to be in the right place, doing the right things and all of that. And I've also have a family. I have a husband, 2 beautiful children who are young men now. So I would also like to just sneak in that I am 53 years old, but I don't feel anywhere close to it. I feel like an angel. I feel so beautiful all the time by the blessings of the divine. So it's really beautiful. So I was again on a corporate job for many years, doing multifaceted things. And it was just giving me a lot in terms of material things and all of that. But I knew something was missing, right? So it was always kind of feeling that, well, there's something more to life, I'm very sure. And I would just like to put it very clearly here that I felt that I was constantly running after something. I didn't enjoy that feeling. So what I did was, at some point when I really could, and I thought that enough was enough, I just took a very nice break from everything. This was about 6 years back. I just decided that, well, I don't know what it is, but I know that I'm not really feeling great about this part of what I'm doing. because I'd done enough of the corporate, the meetings, and then you have to do the nice stuff and you've got to do a lot of those things. So, I mean, it was good. I'm not saying anything negative about it, but I knew that, well, no, not anymore. So I took a break. And after that, for about 6 months, I was doing literally nothing. I was just being, as they say. And I should also mention here that along with the corporate job, had a social life and I had a spiritual life. I was going for prayer meetings and, the normal things that we try to cover in our lives, all aspects. But I knew that none of that was taking me where I actually knew that I could go and I wanted to go. So just took a break, and for 6 months I was not doing anything except just looking after my family, being with myself. It was good. There was no complaints. And then it happened for me. It's a beautiful transformation and beautiful, the best part of my life, where I ended up looking for through somebody. It just came to me through someone that something called life coaching. I didn't even know much about these things, very honestly. So I just happened to do some research on the internet, and I nothing was appealing to me. And then there was this one course that appealed to me, and I just went and did it. It was a 10-day program, and I did that. And very soon after that, I was just led to a past life regression therapist training program. I came across that again in the morning. I booked my ticket and I traveled in the evening. So things started rolling after that. So I even did my tarot reading, trained for that. I did pranic healing and I did yoga teachers training. But I must tell you, the most important part here was, as I was practicing all of this, as I was understanding the principles and practicing all of this, I just came to a huge realization that the meeting point of all these things is just one. So that was the big bang, and it was so much of truth in it and so much of simplicity. It opened up the whole thing for me.
And when you say it was just one, what do you mean? Just one what? It was just one of ourselves. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, it's just one meeting point because, like I said, we go for prayer or we go for meditation, and when you're at work, you're trying to get something done by being somebody. We're trying so many different approaches throughout our life, throughout our days, right? So what happened here with me was I understood that whether I'm doing a healing or whether I'm practicing the principles of life coaching, or whether I'm, even trying to do yoga or get somebody to do yoga, it's the same thing of coming closer to your center.
Right. Because this is what I wanted to ask you before you expand more on that. So I wanted to ask you, sometimes just blindly, or should I say blind, consciously, actually, I will go through my Twitter feeds, not so much my Twitter feeds, Instagram feeds. And I say not so much Instagram because not so much Twitter, because I'm in different groups on Twitter, less of the spirituality type group. And, but anyway, you're scrolling through that stuff. So on Instagram or Facebook or blah, blah. And obviously from the algorithms that I use, I know what's going on out there in the whole life coaching thing or what have you. And, this is the thing, my darling, like I said, I was going through Instagram in particular. It's just like, there are 1,000,001 people out there. Do you know what I mean? Who are saying, we can change your life. Do you know what I mean? I can change your life. And for that person who is a bit stuck and looking for the answer, I thought to myself, like, crikey, this must be so overwhelming for them. There is so much stuff. Mm-hmm. And with all what's on offer, why is there still so much insecurity? Why is there still so many people unhappy and stuck and not able to live this passionate life, which I want everyone to live? Like I said, you talked. One of the things we touched on our pre-interview talk was that simplicity. It's one of the things I love about you, because some of the instructions are crazy. Take the stones, stand under the moon, blah blah, at this time of the day, and maybe it does help. I don't know, but do you have an answer to that? That with all what's on offer, there is still so much unhappiness and despair out there.
I can give you an answer. My sweetheart, really, I can. Because I have been there. I have been there, like I told you, I was doing a whole lot of so many things. You know, when I was 15 years old, I went for a yoga course. I was very passionate, like as they call it, passionate, in those inverted commas. So you're always looking for something and you are doing it with so much of intention and all that. And yes, I did get the benefits of whatever I did. I'm not writing off everything, right? But the point that was missing or is missing for everyone here is mostly things are one dimensional, right? And when we go looking for answers, when especially when you are in trouble, right? When you have things inside of you which are driving you nuts. So what's happening is mostly when a person who's already cluttered or who's having problems, right? When you're looking for something, you end up attracting more of things which are going to put you, I mean, take more of your time and not really give you those answers, probably. So the state of mind that we are already in determines a lot of what's coming to us. Am I making sense?
You are indeed. You are indeed. So you're basically saying that if you're in that
Yeah.
mess within yourself or in that head or that confusion or what have you, unconsciously to you, you're actually attracting more of the same. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's
Right.
one reason. And the other reason is, again, personally, I felt this very strongly. And you had such a lovely, kind introduction of me when you said that, yeah, she simplifies things. So I really have understood it in a very, very simple manner because it's really, when you break it down, it's possible to really understand and practice for every single person,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a studio. You don't need, what else do I say? You don't need to, be guided by so many people or by meditation tapes. I would say none of these, right? It's possible in a very simple manner, but the starting point is something else altogether. So the other reason which I want to come to is that it's all been made out into such a difficult thing, so fancy, and there's so many rules and so many, pressure points that are thrust upon you, right? If I'm a healer, say, if I'm wearing something here, so I've been told that initially when I had started my journey, right? So it was like, oh, every full moon day, you just, wash all your crystals and you put them under the moon. And so you think that without that, you're not going to move forward. So you just, many times you're caught up in these kind of, am I making sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you just caught up in these material aspects and these actions rather than get the essence of it, and you make whatever you're doing your own experience. That's when you will actually make progress, right? So because it's made out too fancy and all of that, people and also I've seen, for example, yoga is mostly done in groups. So mostly we are dependent to be with somebody or someone to do something. So it all becomes more of dependency. So when you're going with that energy and when you're going with confusion, there's a very, very high possibility that you'll again end up in a state of, uh, you're not getting your answers, basically. That's what
So,
I'm trying
so
to.
basically, what we're saying is that you're in a state of confusion. You then attract more of that confusion. You fall into a vacuum, yeah, a vortex almost of confusion. And
Yes.
this means this leaves us in a more stuck position.
Yes, yes. I can give you a more practical example, if I may
Yes,
interrupt
please.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Say if I have, say, if I have a spine. I mean, there are real life examples I can give you. If you have a back problem, right? If a person has a back problem, and if you are going in a state of fear or confusion to find a doctor, believe me, you'll find a doctor who will suggest you 100 tests to make you kind of go more into that state of confusion and frustration, right? But if you are I mean, there's a lot of discussion around this. It's not a small topic, but I'm just quickly giving the example for better understanding. But say if you say you may have a supportive family and you don't feel as bad as one would feel, or there's something to make you feel not so helpless, and you could go look for a doctor. There's a very strong possibility that you find somebody who gives you the right advice. Maybe it doesn't really need something very drastic as detailed tests or surgery or all of that. But if a person is going with a very helpless and confused and frustrated energy, there's a strong likelihood that you're going to find the worst doctor in town. This is a nice example.
This is what I love about you, Seetha. This is what I love about you. I say it before, you bring it down to simplistic terms. Yeah. And really what you're saying is that it's that vibration you have going on around you. You know, that vibe attracts more of the people in that vibe. And it really is about finding that peace within yourself first. And then maybe look
exactly. So then you understand this, then you work towards that.
Right. You work towards finding the peace.
That gives you all your answers.
Right. Okay. So it's to become conscious of that fact, to press pause, basically. Press pause, become conscious of the fact, and then you start seeking answers. Fabulous. The other thing I want to ask you, on your program, you want a program on this, which is really beautiful, and we'll give the information of Seetha's website and so forth at the end. Detox your life, detox your mind. And you talk there about the importance of surrender, breakthrough through surrender, which I love, because it's about that resistance, isn't it? Like letting go of that resistance and surrendering. But you and I know this is easier said than done. Why is that, and what could we do about it?
I would not say that it's easier said than done.
Okay.
It just needs you to be, it just needs you to stay there, stay in the room, as they call it.
I love that. Ready to stay in the room. Don't leave the room. Yes. And that's metaphorically, isn't it?
The room. Yes.
Yes.
And I can put it for you again in a different way. If you're ready to go to the gym every day for an hour, and if I give you some other tools and suggestions, are you ready to do that for an hour every day? And it's not something that you can't do. It's not meditation where you, at the end of it, you're coming out, I'm unable to figure myself. You're still sitting there and thinking about 100 things. Yeah. So I'm going to give you something that's very understandable, very doable. So are you ready to stay in the room with that? So that's the thing. So this beautiful part is what I love, Ingrid, which has happened to me, right? Because today when somebody says you're looking nice, it's just because I'm feeling nice. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I know you understand this too.
Yeah.
So the point here is the surrender is one word which I love, because even in life coaching, we start off saying that the first principle is that, I could give an example, but it'll take long, so I'm quitting that. But the first principle is that we have no choice but to evolve. So we have to welcome change. We have to welcome evolution. And why would we want to evolve? Only if some situation pans out in front of us would we evolve. So then why are we running away from the situations? I wouldn't call them problems. I would call them situations. Right? So that's number one. Secondly, the starting point for everything is I don't know what I don't know. Even in spirituality, that is akin to surrender. I don't know what I don't know is equal to surrender. You say, you surrender and then see what comes out of it. So this surrender, I'll put it in a different way.
Sorry, but doesn't ego kick in there? See that it's like, instead of saying I don't. Remember one of the times we were speaking, you said, you know what I love about you? You actually listen. You take things on board. You don't jump in and say, yeah, I know. And I thought that's ego, isn't it? But
ego is Ingrid, a very small part of what we are talking about.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay. Ego is a tiny part. There are over 60,000 emotions that are inside of us.
Right.
And they've all taken charge. They're all in various proportions. For you, something may be more. For me, something may be more or less.
Yeah.
but they're all having a party inside of us. They're having fun.
I love
Literally.
that.
Yeah.
They're getting on down, right?
Yeah.
They
So
are.
this is what is happening.
Song and
Yeah.
dance in our minds, right? For real.
Absolutely, that's what's happening inside. So
Yeah.
when I say surrender, also we're constantly trying to improve ourselves, get ourselves better, learn new skills and whatnot every single time. But let me tell you, it's about cutting down on many things that will actually help you a lot to bring it down, to simplify. And that includes displacing these emotions which are actually coming the way for us. So as we displace these emotions,
Yeah.
you are slowly moving more and more towards your own center.
Mm.
And that's when you experience that oneness. And that's when the ego and all of that, which is stopping us from going to the center, is eliminated,
Mm.
right? And that's when finally, at least we feel closer to where I say the divine energy, or whatever you could call it, just being close to your soul. And that's when you really know your true purpose. And then you feel a joy when you actually are closer to your true purpose instead of trying to live this or that or somebody else's life. So this surrender is that point where finally you also merge with the flow of the universe. And then it all takes place. And then you don't have to do things. Things happen to us. I'll tell you again quickly. Normally, when they say, when I have a problem, right, I say that the problem is happening to me. Now we'll say life is happening to me. When you're in the middle, in a beautiful state of surrender, you're not putting your thoughts, you're not putting your stupidity, you're not putting your ego in the middle. So then life happens to you like you would not even imagine. Everything comes together and the balance is automatically, maintained.
And really,
Because when we're doing it consciously, we're doing too much of this and less of something else. And that's it.
so it really is about stopping, pausing, all of those things
Yes.
at its core and finding
Yes.
that
Yes.
and bringing it back to the breath, I presume. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Being still and then seeing what comes to us. I love
Yes.
that. I love that. You also mentioned about helping people to live their dream life. Okay. And I just wanted to touch on that a bit more as well, because what many feel is their dream life, when they get there, it's not that dreamy at all. And I remember going on a vision board course some years ago, and I was intrigued to see that outside of myself, when you looked at, but that's because years before that, my board would look like theirs. Do you know what I mean? It was just through evolving that my board didn't look like that anymore. But everyone's board did look the same in terms of what their dream life was. It was the house, the car, the 2.2 children, the dog, the fancy clothes, shoes. It was all what is pumped out there to us as to what is the dream life. But that's not necessarily their soulful life, is it? Seetha?
Exactly.
What do you have to say about that?
It's the same we were talking about. So when we say the dream life, this is what you are putting together consciously, right? For yourself, which you think is going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
And let me remind, what are all these things based on? It's mostly based on the social circumstances where we are living in and all of that. So and all of these mostly, what we decide for ourselves is when we are not even intelligent enough to understand what is really good for us. Right? So when you're actually getting to the dream life, probably when you're closer to it or even fully, you've got it, then you realize this doesn't even make me feel great. And the worst part is that sometimes you've paid a very heavy price. Say a person is 50 or 60, and you've been chasing a career or something in a certain way, and then you've compromised on your health or on your family or something. So then where's the balance? So there's no balance. So there's the dream life. According to me, there's no dream life, actually speaking. That's, those terms are again, I think, with what I've undergone, what I've felt, and how do I put it? I mean, for example, even I live in a big house now, but I don't even go to half the rooms. That's what happens eventually, right? But by God's grace, I enjoy spectacular health, which I'm so grateful for. And for example, if you have a family, right? You have 2 children or 3 children or even one child. By the time you realize you haven't done enough to, you brought the child into this world. So you need to give that child so many things that only you can. And by the time you've seen that the child is already flown out, the child is grown up and flown out of the house. So sometimes all this happens. So there is no. So basically what I would again come back is that you understand the core principles of, how life is led, how on an individual level, if you sort yourself out. Yeah, this is the message I want to give. If you sort yourself on an individual level, that's what will build your dream life. That's what will eventually get you the right things in the right balance and make your life wonderful. And when you're in that state, this is the most beautiful part about myself that I like, having come to this point, is that when you're in that state, then you become good for yourself, you become good for somebody else, good for society, good for the world. But if I built my dream life as I understood it, a huge house and maybe 4 vehicles outside with people to drive my cars, but I'm still going crazy in my mind, then, well, we are at naught. So the beauty is that you work on your individual level. And once you, there's a very, very easy and, simple, beautiful way to understand how to go about it. There is a starting point. Because again, like we spoke at the very beginning, there's too much happening out there. There's too much happening. So then again, we don't know where to start. And in the middle, there's confusion, and then we run away, and then we find something else. All of that is happening.
Yes.
So I'm just talking from my experience. I just, went with this. I stuck with this. I stayed in the room, and it's great. And today, if I'm able to speak to you without notes, without a book, without, just with joy, and, we're sharing such a beautiful evening, it's just because I've experienced it. It's been my own experience. So that's what everybody should look for.
And, it makes me, as we were speaking, I remember the scene in Eat, Pray, Love, and I'm not sure if you've seen the film. And she said, like, what's the matter with me? I've invested all of my life into creating this life that I have now. I've invested all of my life into this, into having the house, the car, the marriage, and all the rest of it. And she felt so frustrated with herself that, crikey, like I don't deserve to be unhappy because this is what I wished for. Yet I was. And I really love that, because I think that a lot of people can relate to that. So I think that's incredibly beautiful. And once again, you go back to that thing about staying in the room. And what I also pick up from what you're saying is understanding also that we all have our own individual blueprint. There's not one path to get there. And my journey may look very different to yours, but this is stuff I'm stealing from you, from conversations we've had. This is basically what you're saying. Is that right, Seetha?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true. So there's so many unanswered questions people have. Like I would just again come back to this very simple question, which being an Indian and interacting with a lot of Indian people, there's this thought, oh, that guy or that family or whoever is having a party, and what's happening to me? Why am I going through all of this or whatever? So here again, this is going a little more deep into things, but here I would love to, just mention this, that we all have a soul purpose, right? So the soul chooses to experience something different every single time. So the other soul who's partying has chosen to party in this lifetime. And my soul has chosen to evolve, maybe even suffer a little bit, experience how it feels to not feel good, right? So that I can empathize with people who do not feel good and maybe be able to help them more. So there's a divine plan also to it. So these questions are actually very simple to be answered.
Yeah.
So if I tell you that they are partying because it was a pre-decided plan for them to party, so you do what you should do. It's simple. I mean, I had all these questions and I didn't like it when I didn't feel good, right? But today I'm totally at peace because you have a better understanding. Ingrid, I think it's all about the understanding. It's all about, once you understand, maybe today you're in a bad mood, you would still not feel good. But tomorrow, if you're going to wake up and you're going to sit again with your understanding, and you are going to resolve it in your own mind. And that is important.
I hear
That's
you.
what I think.
And it goes back to, remembering that everyone's soul purpose is different to another one. And, I think I was given a whole load of suffering. A whole load. Sometimes I'm like, come on, God, come on, universe. This is too much. But like you said, I know now from all I've been through, I can really empathize with so many different stories. Like, been there, seen it, done it. I know. You can't come out the other side and still be smiling. So it's truly beautiful. And really, from what you're saying, again, it should really encourage us to really think about this whole comparison lark. Do you know what I mean? Which is really quite crazy. But if we recognize that everyone's purpose is quite different, it can really help. Because the comparison thing to me, it's got worse. Because once upon a time, we were comparing ourselves, years back before social media, maybe just to your next door neighbors or your close friends and family. Now on social media, we're comparing ourselves to the Kardashians, to Kevin Hart's house and stuff like that, because it's so much more available to us. So the comparison thing, I feel, is really blocking us. So if we just remember that beautiful thing that Seetha just said, it really would help to stop that comparison lark. Before I ask you for your 3 takeaways, which we're going to get to, one question I'd love to get to, I'd love your opinion on, or your view on. Alexa, my mission this year is Feel Alive 2021. I really want people to have a more, even if you have bad moments, bad days, but generally to have a love affair with life, to have a passionate life, to have a passion for living. What's blocking that in your view? What's blocking us from having that, from having a passionate, joyous, bountiful life?
I will have to give you a quick answer. So I'm just thinking. So it's the same thing that we've just been talking about, because if you have to have a passionate and bountiful life, you first need to understand what really is a bountiful life. Right? Yes. This is what I feel like saying.
What does that really mean? I love that. Yes, for real.
Yeah, because again, if this year I'm only going to think that if I'm going to do it, my business is going to thrive, or if I'm going to end up doing this and those targets, and it sometimes irritates me, to be very honest, to think, we're writing something just on a board and we're just looking at that and we're trying to make it work, make it happen. But there's a whole lot of confusion and clutter in me, which is growing every day, which I'm allowing it to grow as well. I would like to have a minute or two after this just to talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So basically what's happening is I've written something on the board and I'm just staring at it, and I'm not doing anything to take myself towards that. A lot of situations where this happens.
So say
And
that
another
again.
thing,
Say that again. So you're not doing anything to, I missed that last bit you said. You said, I'm not doing anything to.
I mean, I told you earlier, right? There's so much inside of us, the clutter, the confusion, the negative emotions, all the baggage
Right.
that we're carrying. And the baggage that we're carrying is like, there's a whole lot of it. I can't compress it into this one. But then all the baggage, I have to consciously sort of, work to understand what it is, and then to lighten myself up. If I'm not doing any of that and I'm just writing things and I'm going to spend time and money on something, it's not meeting at a point. Are you getting me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing really gets my goat is about, all these Instagram and WhatsApp forwards, which, all those, like, I'll tell you one quick example. Like overweight people, especially in India, I see a lot of these being circulated. That's why I'm just sharing it with you, because they say that just own your body and feel good with it, enjoy. I mean, you don't have to feel bad about your weight. Well, there are two sides to it now.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel bad, but you definitely have to do something about it, because if you're overweight or you fall sick or you have a serious problem, it's not only about you. Your family is going to have a tough time looking after you. There's so much more to everything, which people just try to brush it off. So most of it is all brushed off here and there. And whatever suits me, I'm going to pick it up and flaunt it. That's not how it works. So to make truly a bountiful life, you have to, again, work backwards. Work it, understand, and I'll simplify it again to say that the more you are going towards your core and your center, and to understand who you are, and here again, it's very important, the morality, the moral values, all of this comes into it, because the soul is very, very pure. It's meant to be shining and beautiful and pure. So the more coming to the center means purifying your soul. So then you have to let go of all these things that we do outside, trying to make things happen. Let go of all that. It'll happen even better than we imagine.
That's
So,
lovely. So, yeah. So really,
there's a lot of stuff.
you're bountiful, which is truly beautiful. It's bountiful when it's not loaded with stuff. That's where the bounty, that bountiful feeling comes from.
Bounty will happen. Bounty flows. Believe me, it does flow.
I find you said
And
that. I've always
even
said,
in the healing, I'm sorry.
No, I've always said to people, my most successful business ever was when I split up with my kid's dad. I was just like, I'm going to open this lifestyle shop. And it had no business plan, no nothing. I just thought I'm going to put my heart into the shop. Just my soul and my heart. That's all it was. Pure self-expression, totally selfish. And it was just my heart. And it was the most successful business I ever had. Because
that's how it works.
It was just truth.
I can relate to it.
Yeah. I remember my accountant said, are you printing money? But really it's because it was just coming from truth. It was coming, so I can testify to that from truth and from soul. And it was truly beautiful. So that's really quite lovely. But it said it's trusting that and letting it go. And it's funny as well, you're talking about the whole body thing. That's why I just think, we're so connected. I love you so much. I was thinking about that just before we came on the call today. It's something that annoys me when I see sort of like body confidence programs or take charge of your body. And for me, it's like, here we go again. We're separating a part of us. It's like they keep doing that with women. We're chopping us up into separate pieces. We are one whole, yes. Human being, my body. Like I said, you want to certainly be looking after it. But for me, like I said, when you're looking after yourself, when you love yourself, you got rid of this. I was an emotional eater. So I put on a load of weight once through emotional eating. I was trying to fill my soul with food. And that's how I got big. So now I know it's like looking after myself, being well. And that brings that back. So no, that truly annoys me too. But the way you describe, I told you, the way she describes everything is so like, so beautiful.
And why I'm sharing it is that, now with my current understanding, right, of things, and like I've got my own story. I meet so many people, my clients. I mean, I would love to narrate some of the stories to you, the real life cases. You'll be blown, believe me. It's so logical. Then you think, oh my God, is this how it works? And what have I been doing here?
Yeah.
It's so simple and so logical. And When I'm looking around, I always, make mental notes of how things are happening around. Like, even for example, I'll give you another quick one about the women empowerment, right? So women empowerment is not by bringing down the other guys or making a big noise. It's by firstly, stop thinking we are the weaker section. Why are you even putting that out so much? And in India, again, there is this wave of problems and rapes and all that. So the mothers and the daughters have constantly got fear in their hearts. Now, note this. This is a classic example again. So what's happening is people are carrying fear here. So when they're carrying it around, there's more likelihood of them attracting the wrong things. But who's even talking about this? Tell me one person who's talking or putting out a message like this. You're only, running after the guys and bandying around, and that's good. You have to put people in place and you have to bring out. But then there's another side to it. Let's talk about that. So make the girls brave in their hearts and believe that they are safe to begin with. Believe you're safe.
Yes. Because I said that whole vibe, that whole fear of that fear itself is a vibe in itself, it's a vibration itself, like I said, and it's bringing more to you. And to touch on that whole women empowerment thing, and it's why I shifted. I still do women empowerment. I'm all for the, feminine rising and what have you. But it is really for us to recognize how strong we are. And that, no, it's not, but not that one person is higher than the other, that we are equal human beings with different energies, and together they make a beautiful whole. But this was one of my concerns a few years back, is that are we now saying with the whole women empowerment movement that we're above and you're below? And I don't think there's much to be gained from that. We're still enslaved in another group, what have you. My lovely, let's talk about, we'll bring this session to a close. I'm fortunate to have you again, where we're going to be talking about emotions and trapped emotions and how that impacts our health and what we can do about that. That will be on our next session. But before we bring this to a close, I'd love you to give me, or give our audience, 3 takeaways from today's session of detox your mind, detox your life, and how in fact live a more passionate life. What will your 3 takeaways be?
Okay, I'll just give you these beautiful ones, and I love giving them to all those beautiful people out there because it has worked for me, right? So the number one, which I already shared, is that we guys don't have a choice except to get better and more beautiful and more close to your center, right? So that's number one. Number 2, of course, is how. What's the starting point? So the starting point is, again, here we would have read it casually a million times. Take responsibility for your own life or your own actions, right? So I would love to quickly elaborate a little bit on this, which in the life coaching language, we say be on the cause side. It's CAUSE. Like, I'm the cause for things. So normally what we do is, for something that's nice, like if my son is doing well, oh, he's my son, he's so good. If he's lousy, oh, he's a useless guy, he doesn't listen to me. In every situation in life, at work, if we have a, if our boss is appreciating me, he's a great boss. But if I've done something bad and if he points it out, oh, this guy is always calling me names. So I would rather that in every situation, even if something not so good is happening to you, you jump to the cause side, and please don't sit on the fence. Don't please sit on the fence. Go to the cause side, because that again gives you your own power back. Because when you think it's happening because of me, that means you can do something about it.
Quite.
When I say this is, she's making me miserable, that means I'm going to sit here and be miserable. I can't do anything about it. That's not a great place to be. So be on the cause side. I've just quickly run through this because this is the only thing I think which can really turn around. This is a practical aspect. There's no meditation. There's no spirituality.
Yeah. But then ego is going to kick in there, isn't it? I'm trying to wrap this up, but the ego is in fact the blame side, isn't it? Where we're blaming. Is that not ego?
No, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. If you remember this, if you keep bringing it up, slowly your ego will take a walk.
Take off.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yes, it will happen.
Yes.
Because you slowly start realizing that, well, I'm actually, I can do much better in my life if I start taking it upon myself than where I actually am, or where I actually brought myself to.
Yeah. But I
And
do,
the third takeaway, very
so
quickly.
just to say, I do love that. That is really taking back your power when you go back into chords. You're in
Yes.
control. But yes, number three.
Yeah. So don't please sit on the fence. That's not going to help you. When it's good, I'll jump here. When it's not good, I'll jump here. No. Just be on one side, and then you'll start thinking about, yes, how can I make this better?
Yeah.
So when I do my workshops, I give 100 examples, and that really drives the point in, people really wake up to the reality. Because there's no use just reading things, for God's sake. You have to do it.
For real. Number three.
Yeah. And the third takeaway is that I would quickly like to leave you with this, a piece of beautiful information, is that we have an unconscious mind inside of us, which is listening to all the dialogue that we are doing to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot more influencing and all that. I cannot go into that right now, but simply put, please do not repeat what you don't like in your life. So if something, say, if your mother-in-law is nagging you, please don't say she nags me to every friend that you meet in every phone call. Or if your son is, say, whatever, children are naughty sometimes. So, oh, my son is so naughty. And, there are parents who keep saying that, oh, my elder one, he's so outgoing, and my younger one is so shy. Will you find it after 5 years? That's exactly how they turn out to be. So whatever it is, please do not, and anyway, you're wasting your time repeating the same thing over again. So please, let's grow up. So do not repeat whatever is not nice and pleasant and happy in your life. And the same, because the more you're repeating it, the person, the beautiful self inside of you thinks you love it. So it's going to give you more of it.
And
right?
What I think is really important about that point, actually, Seetha, is even taken out of spirituality. I'm sure it falls under spirituality box. This is, to me, where neuroscience and spirituality actually starts combining. There's lots of areas where they actually combine, actually. But in neuroscience, we talk about something called confirmation bias, that you only see what you believe to be true. So in spirituality, we talk about the energy, you're creating that energy, you create about that vibe. In neuroscience, we say what's confirmation bias, and your brain it will support you and will show you only more of what you believe to be true. Yeah. And so they become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that child, like you said, becomes the shy one, and that one becomes the other child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are, if you notice now, that we are causing most of what happens to us. Coming back to the other one.
Crikey, yeah.
And the second part of takeaway 3, there's another side to it, which is the beautiful one inside. It's like an innocent, beautiful child, but it's like your best friend or your slave, whatever you want to understand it as. Mm-hmm. So keeps listening 24/7, no sleep, no nothing. It just listens to what you want. So you better give it good things to action upon. So the second part of the takeaway 3 is that your unconscious mind does not understand negatives. So if you want to say, like if I want to not gain weight, right? I should not say I don't want to be fat, because the unconscious mind just picks up the word fat from the whole sentence. It doesn't know I don't know, and it doesn't know that this car is a better car, this is a beautiful house, a 5-bedroom is better than a 3-bedroom. No, just knows everything in absolute terms and understands it so. So when you say I don't want to be fat, say if you're thinking that thought 15 times a day, right? I don't want to be fat, I don't want to be fat. The sweet one inside picks up the word fat and thinks that my master, my lady, loves fat. So let me help her to become fat.
Crikey.
So what you do is you rephrase it. You say, I want to be having an optimum weight. I want to have a nice figure, or I want to be healthy. You can term it whichever way you want.
Yeah.
Like, say if you're, how do I put it? Any other quick example I'm thinking of?
Only for time, so it'd have to be very, very quick though, Seetha. Is it cool, Mom?
Okay. So that's another thing. So these are the three takeaways. Is that the first one is that, well, we have one beautiful choice. Let me put it this way now.
Yeah.
We have one beautiful choice of living this life fully and keeping on evolving.
Yeah.
And you will evolve when you know how to actually, when you understand it right and do it right. And the main two things which really will work as a trigger, as a starting point for you, if you take these two things of, number one, be on the cost side always. And the second one is watch out for your negative statements.
Love it.
And then you'll sort of definitely find yourself, on the move.
And Seetha, for those of us who'd love to have some wonderful coaching with you, some lovely transformation with yourself rather, how do they get in contact with you?
My social media is on Instagram, and I'm on Facebook as Seetha Gopal.
Yeah.
And I have just opened up a page on Facebook and Insta. I've just about started off, which is Seetha's Wellbeing World.
Seetha's Wellbeing World, brilliant. Okay, and I'll put that up in the message as well. Seetha, you are delicious, and I will see you next week for our next topic, which is looking at the whole impact of our emotions and our health, a direct link between our emotions, stuck emotions, and how that's impacting our health, and most importantly, what we can do about it. So let's not forget, my darling, you can see a record on this on my website, which is thesoulbabe.com. Please also subscribe for this and other delicious shows. Please do get in contact with our Seetha. Like I said, she brings me utter peace and joy. She really does. It's so beautiful, one of the most beautiful people I've ever met. And once again, tune in next week for more soulful living tips and helping you to fall back in love with life again. Ciao.